Going live. Hi, everybody. Welcome to tonight's free webinar. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited to be doing this webinar tonight. My name is Jamie Spencer. I am a school-based occupational therapist for MissJamieOT.com, and I'm here with my buddy, Jason, who is from the OT Schoolhouse podcast. Jason and I have done a bunch of things together recently, actually. We work together often on advocacy for school OTs, and Jason did this free webinar on his website, should I say, Jason, or what podcast?
Yeah,
Website.
no, I've done it on the website. Yeah, I did a webinar similar to what we're doing right now. So yeah.
Yeah. And I thought it was so informative and such great information that I wanted to see if Jason would come on and do it for my followers. And he said yes, because he's super. So, Jason, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, first, hello Noka, hello DePauli, hey Joshua, how's it going? Yeah, my name is Jason Davies. I am, as Jamie said, I'm an occupational therapist and I do host the OT Schoolhouse podcast. At otschoolhouse.com is where I have everything, including a course that we're actually going to talk a little bit tonight about. And I'm very passionate about helping occupational therapists move from a caseload to a workload standpoint. I'm very passionate about facilitating RTI and MTSS involvement for occupational therapists. So that's where my real heart is at. And you'll hear a lot about that on the podcast a little bit. But yeah, I'm excited to be here, excited to share with you all a little bit about evaluations in school-based OT.
And I agree with you. That's where my heart is too. I think it all goes back to advocacy and showing our true worth in the school setting. And I think a lot of people, with so many people are coming on and joining us. I'm so excited. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Bethany. Hi, Prodigy King. So there's a few people who are popping up and it says Facebook user. So we want to see your name because we want to be able to talk to you and call you out. And we're also going to be doing prizes. So I need to see who you are just in case you're going to win a prize. And so if you could go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, I'm going to pop up the link right now and just click yes and that they can use your name. Then Jason and I will be able to see who you are. So if you have a comment or question, we'll be able to, address you by your name because we don't want to call you Facebook user. Oh, look at all the people.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
it.
I didn't know that that was a thing. All right, we have a lot
Yes,
of
yes.
Facebook users here.
Yeah.
All right, hello Penny, hello Hot.
Marsha.
Yeah, we got a lot lot. Awesome. This is
Michaela.
great.
So everybody, while you're chatting it up, tell us, where are you guys from? I'd love to hear. I have an audience all over the world, international. So it's so exciting. Jamie Bruno, it's me, Miss Jamie. Hello. Wait, the comments are going so quickly that I can't even finish reading them.
Right?
Hello, Miss Jamie.
Super
It's me,
fangirl.
Miss Jamie. I followed your career. Super fangirl. Thanks, Jamie. And you spell it the same way as me. I love that.
That's awesome. It's always fun when you have a uniquely spelled name and you find someone that has the same way. I love it.
I
I have
don't
I have
even,
a Y in my name, so it's the
yeah.
same thing. Yep.
I actually like that because when I go to email you, you're the only person that comes up. And I have a lot of Jasons, but you're the only Jason with a Y.
Love it.
Yeah.
Texas, New York, Missouri, California, Washington, D.C., South Carolina, and Long Island. My goodness.
Long Island, that's my area. People say, oh, I know you're from Long Island because you have that accent. And I'm like, what accent?
I love it. We have someone from Canada here today. I love when we have people from outside of the states. I absolutely love it. It's so awesome that we are able to even reach people within the states and then outside of the states. It's just
Yeah.
crazy.
And I actually have a lot of followers in Australia and in South America. And it's just hard, obviously, because the
Yeah.
time difference doesn't always work for them, which is why we are offering a replay. So if anybody wants to watch it again or doesn't, wants to review it, we will be offering a replay for a short time, not forever. So be sure to check your email.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
what do you think? Should we go ahead and get started?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okie doke.
Alrighty. Are we sharing? Perfect. The screen share is going on. Everyone, can you see the screen share? Just give me a thumbs up emoji if you can see everything or say yes, whatever's easiest to type into the chat. I don't want to get started unless I know everyone can see exactly what we want you to actually be able to see. So you should see a slide titled The 5 Essential Pieces to Every School-Based Occupational Therapist. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Facebook user number 1, Facebook user number 2. Perfect. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Melissa, for letting me know.
I'm
that
going to
we
get rid of
are
this bar at the bottom in a few minutes. I just wanted to let everyone know if it says Facebook user, go to streamyard.com/Facebook and just give them a click. Yes, you can use my name, and then it will show up with your real name.
awesome. And we got Jason here from Double Time Docs here as well. So thanks for being here, Jason.
Yeah. Hey,
Appreciate it.
Jason.
All right. So um, let's see here. On a scale of 1 to 10, let me know how comfortable you're feeling with evaluations right now at 4:06 Pacific Time Standard or whatever time zone this is. 1 being I'm very uncomfortable, 10 being I am good to go. On a scale of 1 to 10, where are you feeling at with your evaluation process, your reports, all of that? We got a 10, we got a 6, a 6, an 8, a 9.5, 6 or 7 out of 10, 5. All right, great. Well, even if you are at the higher level, a 7, 8, or even a 9, the goal for tonight is to get you 1 to 2 steps up. This is great. At least everyone is, for the most part, a 5 or above, although someone did just put a 1 tet, Lindsay a 4. So we're going to go ahead and get started. That is why we are here today. And first and foremost, thank you so much for spending some time with Jamie and myself tonight. It really means the world to us that you show up. We couldn't do this without you. We really appreciate you being here. We know you have busy Thursday evenings, and we appreciate you taking a little bit of time to come out and spend that with us.
And allowing us into your living room or your office or wherever you're watching this. We do appreciate it. You guys, school-based OTs are the best, and we're here to support you, and thank you for supporting us.
Yes, absolutely. And now, before we move on, I'm going to give my one disclaimer for the evening, and that is that every single school, every single school district, every single state does things slightly different. And so I'm going to come and bring information based from really a larger picture point of view from IDEA and AOTA. But just know that everything that I give you is not something that is necessarily set in stone. It's definitely a framework that I would take back to your district, talk to your team about, and say, hey, what from this can we use? So that's my quote unquote disclaimer, if you want to call it that. But at the same time, you have the slides. Although, if at any time you feel the need to, go ahead and take a screenshot of any of my slides. That's totally fine. This information is for you, it's yours. And so feel free to have that.
And
All
I
right.
want to throw in there when you're talking about how comfortable are you with evaluations. I'm comfortable doing evaluations, but especially with what's going on with COVID this year, and I've been an OT for 22 years. This year, I am just inundated with evaluations. Like I can't they're I feel like they're flying in at me like a scene from Mary Poppins. Like, oh my goodness. And I can't get them all done. So I have been
Mhm.
really working hard to just streamline my process and like you are going to talk about going forward using
Yep.
templates and just trying to make it easier on myself rather than harder because it's just it's really crazy this year.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? That's part of what we need to do. We need to put systems in place so that we have something to fall back on. We
Mhm.
don't want to reinvent the wheel with every single new evaluation that we do. So we want to have some sort of system, a standard operating procedure, if you will call it, to kind of make sure that we're going down the right path. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So, uh, a
We have
little
a
bit about
comment
me.
here. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Maya Bell is saying she loves Double Time Docs because we mentioned Jason from Double Time Docs,
Yes.
and he's one of the tools that we'll be talking about a little bit later that can help you to streamline your process because it's helped me in the last month or so.
Absolutely, something I have used in the past as well, and I also support them very much so. All right, so we'll go over this. Most of you either know who I am or you've learned in the last 5 minutes that we've been on. My name is Jason Davies. I'm an occupational therapist in Southern California. I've been a school-based occupational therapist for 9, going on 10 years here, and I am the host of the OT Schoolhouse podcast, where we have 94 episodes. I think episode 94 comes out on Monday, actually.
Ooh,
Yeah, we're gonna be
almost
close
at
to.
100. I hope you're going to do
Yep.
something to celebrate.
We're gonna work on something. I'm working on that. But what actually might make that a little difficult is right when we hit 100 is also around the time that I'm going to become a dad for the first time.
Oh
And
my
so
goodness.
things are a little crazy. I don't know. Maybe I'll introduce my new baby on the podcast on episode 100. Who knows? I don't know how we're going to do this, but I
That
am a
would
dog
be
dad.
amazing.
Yes, yeah. So I am a dog dad currently, but I soon will be a human dad to my son, who is going to be born, if everything goes according to plan, which it hardly ever does, on March 31st. So yes, thank you, Stephanie. Other Stephanie, thank you as well. I appreciate it. So let's go ahead and get started. I know you aren't here all just to learn about me today. You want to learn about school-based OT and about evaluation. So why are we here today? First of all, can I get a thumbs up one more time if this is true for you, that we are school-based OT practitioners who want to do right by the children and the communities we serve? And I'm not going to look at the chat right away. I know there's going to be some thumbs up, but I'm going to bring up the second topic so that we can already kind of move along a little bit. Ooh, I love the party hat. Also, we are here today because you're wondering what the important parts of a school-based OT evaluation are. And then also because you want to know how you can make your life as a school-based OT practitioner just a little bit easier. You know, we all want to do right by our students, right by the communities we serve, but it's hard to do that when we are burnt out. And so if we can make our lives a little bit easier, then hopefully we can make the lives of all the people we serve a little bit easier as well. All of the above. I love it. Awesome. Um, also, usually I ask what else you might be here for, but I'm going to go ahead and continue on just because I know you want to know. You want to know the good stuff. So we're going to continue on here. So today's three objectives and a bonus objective we have is to understand who identifies what is needed in a school-based OT evaluation, know the 5 essential pieces to every evaluation, understand why these pieces are necessary in every evaluation, and then at the very end, we're going to do a quick little bonus lesson about what is not an OT evaluation. I like to say, you know, as an occupational therapist, as a person in general, we need to know our strengths, but we also need to know our weaknesses, or in this case, what isn't an OT evaluation. So we need to know what is and what isn't an OT evaluation.
Very
So
true.
actually, I'm going to hand it off to Jamie really quickly, and she's going to talk just a little bit about our engagement that we're going to keep going on tonight.
Yes, I'm excited. So we want people, I mean, I love the group that we have tonight because people are talking, people are excited, people are participating. Awesome. Love it. We are going to be encouraging that by randomly giving away some Amazon gift cards. You guys can buy yourself some toys, or if you want, buy yourself a little treat. But we're going to be randomly and sporadically giving away Amazon gift cards. So if you're planning on multitasking, make sure you've got your ears open. And I'm the type, like, I'll listen to a webinar while I'm ironing or some, because we're busy. We've got a million things to do. But make sure you're listening because you need to be present live in order to get your prize. And we have a grand prize to give away, which is very exciting as well. Can you?
Actually, that's right here.
Yeah. So we are also, and this is thank you very much to Double Time Docs. We're going to be giving away one free 6-month subscription to Double Time Docs plus 10 free doc credits. So when you sign up for Double Time Docs, you automatically get a free credit, but then you need credits in order to do more evals. So we're going to be giving another 10 free credits. So that's valued at $100 for somebody. This slide right here is an offer that Double Time Docs has given to everybody. So again, if you are interested in checking out Double Time Docs, and we'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to the when we talk about doing templates and saving time. Double Time Docs is a great way to do that. I'm really liking it a lot. It's helping me, even though I'm still inundated. It's still helping me. But everybody can sign on for free and you get a free credit to try it out and see if you like it. If you decide to subscribe and you use the coupon code Miss Jamie Webinar, Double Time Docs will give you an additional 4 free doc credits. So you can write another 4 evals, which is awesome.
Awesome.
We love getting more done in less time.
Absolutely. I just have to point out, I think it was not Amanda, Ashley's comment. She wants to win the $25 gift card just so she can buy a box of red crayons because the red crayons always disappear. I love that. It's so true.
Well, you know what? I think that you should treat yourself to something better. I really do. It's your choice, of course, but I think a hardworking therapist deserves a little more than a box of red crayons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
All
might.
right. So the five essential pieces, we're going to get into that, but first we need to know who the who's who of OT evaluation. Who says what we can and can't do for our OT evaluations? And there's a few entities, there's a few laws that kind of talk about this. And so first of all, we have to always consider IDEA, the Individuals with Disability Education Improvement Act, or IDEIA. They're synonymous, IDEA or IDEIA. And as you can see here, each public agency must conduct a full and individual initial evaluation in accordance with some numbers of laws before the initial provision of special education and related services to a child with a disability under this part. So basically IDEA here, as I've highlighted for you, we must have an evaluation before any services can be provided, not necessarily occupational therapy, and but any services. That's why a psychoeducational evaluation is required. That's why speech and language pathology evaluation is required. We all need to have an evaluation before we can implement our services. And that is not all that IDEA says. Here's a few key points here. Now, IDEA doesn't say anything specific about OT evaluations. In fact, they barely say anything about OT at all. But in general, evaluations need to include what you see here, and that is a variety of assessment tools. So we need to make sure that we're not just using just the bot or not just using the M fund. We need to combine our tools together to create an evaluation. We also need to make sure that these tools are technically sound instruments, and we'll get into that a little bit more later. And actually, surprisingly, within a law, we actually see them state that we need to be ethical. We need to make sure that what we're doing, we are putting the children first, and we are not doing making recommendations based on other factors. We need to be making sure that our evaluations are ethical, and we can't be saying that a student doesn't need OT services because we have a full caseload, or because the school district doesn't have an OT, or because the school district doesn't want to send a student out to an outpatient clinic potentially. Those are not reasons that we can say a student doesn't need OT.
We also have to make sure that we are talking about individual or group based on our recommendations and not based on what fits in the schedule.
Absolutely. Yep. So let's go ahead and look at what AOTA says. Obviously, AOTA is our defining body above us, and they also produced the occupational therapy practice framework that came out about a year and a half ago, the OTPF4. And this is how AOTA defines an evaluation for occupational therapy in that OT practice framework. There's three main pieces or components to an evaluation. Tonight, we're going to expand on that a little bit to have five key components, but this is what AOTA requires in the OTPF. An occupational profile, we're going to go over that. An analysis of occupational performance, we're going to dive more deeper into that and kind of break that apart a little bit because it's very general. What is an analysis of occupational performance? And then a synthesis of your findings. And then we'll add one more key component after that as well. So that's what AOTA says. So we have IDEA, we have AOTA, and then we also have your state and local education agencies. And, in California, we have the California Department of Education, and whatever your state you are in, they probably have a Department of Education or something to that similar name. And then you have the county, and then you also have your district, and then you have even your building level. And now, while these smaller entities, especially once you get below the state level, they may not have as much say in what is required in evaluation. They definitely help us to put together what our reports should kind of look like. And especially at the district, we want uniformity at the district level, right? We want one OT's report to look similar to another OT's report. That way, when a student is moving around from school to school or even district to district, we actually know what we're looking for here. And so that the district and the county level, they can also have kind of a we want to see this in your report type of feedback. And that comes from your director of special education, or if you're in California, we have SELPAs, or counties even will give guidance to districts on that. All right, so this is actually going to bring us to our first quick quiz. And so, if you would like to potentially win one of those $25 gift cards to Amazon, please in the comments share which entity or law that we just went over states that our evaluations must include the following: occupational profile, analysis of occupational performance, and a synthesis of the findings. We got IDEA, we got AOTA. Which one is it? We also have state and local. This one is actually, I'm not going to say it yet. We'll let a few more answers come in. And Julie, or sorry, not Julie. Why did I say Julie? Jamie, what?
Oh,
which
I'm like,
which
oh,
one is it?
is someone commenting named Julie in there?
Nope, just Facebook user. Jamie, which entity is it that requires an occupational profile, analysis of occupational performance, and a synthesis of findings? We're letting them all come in.
They are all
Most
over.
most of them have. Yes, I see some OTPFs. Yep, but yeah,
So I think, I guess the term entity, like, so AOTA is our organization, and you're saying or law, IDEA is the law. So AOTA is not a law, and IDEA is not an entity. So that's confusing, Jason.
organization. Should I have said which organization?
Yes. Yes.
most we're getting most of it answer or
These are
correct here.
OTs. Everybody's very particular. We want to get it right.
Yes, so it is AOTA. AOTA is within the OTPF, they do state that we need to be using an occupational profile, an analysis of occupational performance, and a synthesis of findings in order to create an evaluation. All right. So I
Awesome.
don't know, do you
Okay.
want
And
to
we have a $25 gift card for Amanda Mint.
Amanda Mint. Congratulations,
Amanda Mint,
Amanda.
you've got our first $25 gift card. My customer service VA, Heather, will be reaching out to you in a moment via private chat to get your information. Hi, Joshua Lieberman. Joshua Lieberman works at the school district that I live at. Well, the neighboring school district to me. So, hey, Josh.
Yes, I am very familiar with Joshua as well. He's a frequent visitor. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for being here, Joshua. Let's go ahead and head on over to our next slide. And this is going to be a key image for tonight. Don't take a picture of it yet. I'm going to fill it in for you at the end, and then you can have a picture of it because, well, it'll have more information then. But these are going to be the 5 steps to getting our well-documented OT evaluation report. And as you can see here, we have referral and we have OT evaluation. This is our funnel. This is our evaluation top-down funnel. And we don't just get a referral and magically throw it in a funnel and out comes a report. That's not how life works. That's how nothing works, right? We have to go through and work our way through the funnel. We have to put the pieces together at every step in order to get to our OT evaluation. I like to think of this process, as an assembly line, right? And I'm thinking maybe like a teddy bear. First you have to have a machine that takes the material, right, and cuts it out into the design. And then another machine sews it up a little bit. Another machine puts the stuffing into it, and so forth and so on, right? We've all been to Build-A-Bear or something like that, taking our kids there. Build-A-Bear, right? You got to go through the steps. And that's exactly the same here with an OT evaluation. All right. So let's get started with that first step. Just like AOTA says, we need to build that occupational profile. Now, what's included in an occupational profile? We have personal information. Also, what the reason is for this evaluation. What are the strengths and the concerns of the student? And also, what are the student's preferences? What do they like? What do they not like? My least favorite referral, and it's probably yours too, is one that is just within the IEP itself. The IEP team recommends an OT evaluation. That doesn't tell us anything at all. And so that's why we need to build this occupational profile. What is also part of your occupational profile? Any medical history that we might need to know about the student, educational history. That's obviously important because we're actually working within the schools. Educational environment. Where is the student actually in school right now? They could be homeschooled. They could be virtually learning on Zoom or Google Meets, whatever it might be. They could also be in the classroom. And if they're in the classroom, what type of classroom are they in? And what types of classroom are they in if they move? throughout the day. Some kids are in a special education classroom for part of the day, general education, resource, even speech potentially. And then, of course, you have recess and lunch and a few other places, right? Therapy history. Does the student have any therapy history? Have they already been through occupational therapy before, or PT or SOP? What have they done? What have they succeeded in? What troubles have they had in the past? And then team priorities, such a big one here, right? Starting with that referral that just says, hey, we want an OT evaluation. Well, our first question should be, why? Like, what are we trying to accomplish with this? And they may not know. When we ask that question, they don't know. Heck, they don't know what we do, right? A lot of times. So we need to help them to understand what is it? What is the meaningful occupation that we want this student to be able to accomplish as a result of our evaluation? And that is probably the number one biggest part of an occupational profile. So if all of what I said sounds great, but it's kind of like, wait, how am I supposed to get all that information? Miss Jamie, she sent out an email to you just a little while ago when you were invited to join in here about an hour, hour and a half ago. And it has this file for you to use. It is the occupational profile for school-based OTs. It is a file that I put together for school-based OTs, and it is actually based on the AOTA occupational profile. I love the occupational profile when it came out several years ago. They created a one pager, but it wasn't specific to school-based OTs. And so I
Mm-hmm.
manipulated it a little bit. I changed it up, I adapted it, and I created this tool for you to use while you're doing your evaluation. This is that first piece that we should be putting together, but it's also a piece that we can continue to add as we learn more about the student.
So I have a quick question for you, Jason. When you write your OT evals and right in the beginning, do you put occupational profile and then your first blurb? Because I do an occupational profile, but I always write introduction. And I'm kind of like, oh, maybe I should change the language.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So do you actually use the terminology occupation profile?
I don't because I feel like nobody else gets it.
Correct. I agree with you that. In fact, when I'm writing mine, most of the time, no, it doesn't say occupational profile. You're right. It says history,
Right.
educational history. So I
Yes.
actually kind of break it
Relevant
down.
history.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think, an occupational profile, and one thing that I've been finding since I'm doing it for so long is so a couple of people are putting on, where do we get the free resources? So if you guys signed up when you got your confirmation email, the PDF with the handout is in the confirmation email. And I'm also going to be including it in when I send you the replay. But what I wanted to say is when I do the occupational profile and I find out what is the child's strengths, what do they like, what is their favorite thing, I feel like it helps me to establish a rapport with the child when I go to do the eval. Like I find out that the kid loves Paw Patrol and then I'm like, excellent. So, let's try this. We'll do it like Sky or whatever. You just have that connection and
Yeah.
they immediately are like, "Oh, they're speaking my language. I like this lady."
Absolutely. And if you can see, I know sometimes it gets small on the different devices that you're working on, but when you get this handout, you'll see right at the bottom, the last three boxes are those most important boxes. We cannot just ask the teacher. We cannot just ask the parent what their priorities. We need to be asking all three, the parent, the teacher, and the student, what their priorities are in education. That is a big piece of what we are doing in our evaluation. So make sure that you're talking to all of those. And so going forward, how do you actually collect this information? There are many ways that you can do this, both in Gmail and in Outlook. You can create templates that will save you time, right? You can send out an email to the parent, the teacher, and this can be a simple template like, hey, I just received this evaluation request for so and so. Would you mind answering a few questions for me? And you can have all those questions listed out. Or you can say, same thing, can you please fill this out for me, but then have a link to a Google form or a Microsoft form where they can input that information for
Yeah,
you.
I have a Google form that I use and it is just the best thing ever. But again, it that gives me the occupational profile. It doesn't help me to write. I'm like, I need this for writing my report. I want to put in this little blurb and have it come out in a beautiful sentence without any typos. Because when you write the same thing over and over and over, you don't see the typos anymore. And that's one of the reasons why I was excited about double time docs, because I was able to put in a tiny little bit of information and have the whole thing show up. So I don't have to give myself carpal tunnel writing the same thing over and over and over. I do
Yep.
find that the Google form that I made to ask questions from the teacher is a very big help. And one thing I always ask as well is for the teacher, what are your three biggest concerns for this child? Because then I know right away what to hone in on.
Hmm. Yeah, and we also need to make sure that we're actually getting to know our classrooms better too, because we need to know as a related service, we need to know what the goals of that classroom is.
Right.
And it's a whole nother topic, but understanding Common Core state standards or whatever state standards your state uses, your district uses, you
Hmm.
should know those because that'll tell you, that'll guide you in creating your goals.
Yeah. I
Um,
also feel like right, it will help you to create your goals. If the teacher says, my three biggest concerns are distractibility, behavior, and handwriting, you're not going to put a scissors goal. You want
mhm.
to address what the teacher is saying is impacting that child's ability to function in the classroom.
Absolutely. And that is actually a great segue here because with your occupational profile, you're going to find out why, right? You're going to figure out the why behind the referral. And that is going to guide your next steps. So, quick look ahead. This is going to be another giveaway really quickly. It's not a question and answer. I mean, it is a question, but there is no one right answer here. It's just participation. Please let me know what you think the next step in the OT evaluation processes. We have occupational profile in that orange top of the funnel. How are we going to get more specific now? What do you think is the next essential piece of a top down evaluation? And I'm going we have observations. So, observation, oh, yes. Okay, so we have occupational profile, a lot of observations, skilled observations. Perfect. Some people either you've taken my course or you've seen this presentation before. I think we got lots of observations. I love it. Awesome. You are straight right on. Awesome. Classroom observation and getting even more specific. Okay. Awesome. Jamie, what about you? Is an observation where you go after you got your occupational profile?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Once I have well, I'm trying to think of my whole process. Once I have the information and the occupational profile and the teacher input, then I choose my evaluation tools. And this is like a little embarrassing because when you said before, we shouldn't just be using the bot or we shouldn't just be using the one thing. When I first started out, first of all, I was a contract therapist, so I had no mentor and no money. So I literally owned the VMI and the MVPT, and that was it. And that was what everybody got tested with for like 3 years because that was all I had. And I honestly didn't really know better because I didn't have a mentor. So it's sad. A lot of OTs, unfortunately, are in a position like that where we don't have the mentorship and we don't have the materials. But it is really important that if we don't, that we approach our bosses or our school districts and let them know, my this child is having sensory issues, but I don't have a sensory assessment. Can you? I need it. I need it. They would never let a speech therapist do a speech eval or an evaluation on a child with a lisp without an articulation assessment. So we have to, you know, I hate to say it, but we have to stick up for ourselves and we have to ask for what we need. Otherwise, we're always going to be behind the eight ball.
Yeah, I see a comment here that I really think that both you and I will love to address, and that is from Michelle here. She says she doesn't have time for observations, 60 students on a caseload with no evaluation time.
Wow.
And this goes back to what I said about ethics. When it comes to IDEA is really for the district. And the district needs to be ethical. And part of the district being ethical is making sure that you have the ability to provide really a competent evaluation.
Hmm.
And so we need to start advocating for ourselves more to not say, how can I make my evaluation shorter and shorter, but how to stand up and ask my district for more time and more energy and more
Hmm.
support to make sure that we are completing real evaluations. Because
Yeah.
we'll talk about what isn't a real evaluation at the end.
The one thing too, though, is thank goodness with technology these days, we can rely on our colleagues. Like I said, I always reach out to the teacher and I also always reach out to the physical education teacher. How are they doing in PE? Are they safe? Are they able to? I have to agree, like I don't have time to observe. I'm doing 1 million evaluations a week. I can't go observe them in the classroom, in the cafeteria, in gym. Like there's just not enough time. I observe them in the classroom and I work with them, and then I rely on my colleagues to give me the information, like how is the child functioning? What's
Hmm.
going on? Do they need me in this setting or not?
Yeah. Yeah. So let's go ahead. I don't want to take everyone. We're having a lot of discussion, which is awesome, but I want to make sure we also get through everything. So we'll keep on going. And I think Miss Jamie will kind of secretly give in who the winner is for the Amazon card. Is that how we want to do it? Or do you want to announce that real quick?
I want to announce it real
Go for it.
quick. Our $25 gift card winner is Rose Capozzi O'Connor.
Yay. Congrats, Rose.
Woohoo,
Rosie.
Rose!
Awesome.
Buy yourself something good, Rose.
All right. So for all of you that said observations, excuse me, you would be correct. And actually, we're going to talk about two very separate types of observations. A few of you actually did go a little bit further, and I want to delineate the difference between the two observations because the first observation that I like to start off with, especially if this is an initial evaluation, is what I call the embedded observations or the classroom observations. Because now that you have your occupational profile, it's time to observe the child where they learn and where the potential problem is actually taking place. If we skip straight to the structured observations, we are skipping the larger picture of occupation. And so I like to start with occupation in the embedded observations. What I mean by going in here and looking at the occupation is looking with a broader lens when we are in that classroom. We're not trying to look at what the pencil grasp looks like. We're not trying to look at vestibular processing, tactile processing, proprioceptive processing, how they hold scissors even. We are looking at can they actually participate in the classroom with a very functional outlook type of scope, right? We're not breaking down the tasks quite yet. Now, we do want to note both personal and environmental factors here a little bit. What is the student doing, but also how is the environment either impacting the student, or how is the student impacting the environment, vice versa, right? We want to know what is and what is not facilitating the student in this classroom. So both, this is one of the things I also like to point out here is why I do it now instead of later too, is because if this is an initial evaluation, the student doesn't know who I am. And therefore, when I go in there, that student's not going to be performing for me. And I make sure to tell the teacher, please don't point out why I'm here, who I'm here for. I am just a teacher that's observing your classroom. And I make sure that when we do this, don't just pop into a classroom. Let the teacher know that you're coming in, why you're coming in, and specifically ask them, hey, when I come in, can you please not tell Johnny that I'm here to watch him? I don't want him to know that that's why I'm there. I want to see what he does naturally.
And, a lot of times the child can figure it out. This literally happened to me last week. I was trying to be all incognito, and this little boy on the spectrum immediately knew it was me. And instead of doing what he was supposed to be doing, he keeps showing me pictures of gerbils on his computer. And he's like, this is this kind of a gerbil, and that's that kind of a gerbil. And I'm like, no, don't pay attention to me. I'm just, just pay attention to your reading lesson. And he's like, but look at this gerbil. Isn't it cute? I'm like, oh God. I didn't get to see anything I was supposed to see. He knew he had my number.
That's funny. Yeah, they do. They know when we're looking at them. Sometimes you have to be very sly about it, right? All right. So embedded observations. Then we get to our structured observations. This is where I do pull out the student. This is where I see them somewhere where I can control the environment. I can make the environment more quiet, make it in a nice structured table with a barrier around if I don't want them to have any access to other things, or I can let them go and let them roam on the sensor equipment if we have it available. But this is the time that we can really take a look at whatever we think might have been impacting the student in those embedded observations. This is our time to dive deeper into that. This is our time to say, okay, we saw in the classroom that they couldn't sit still for 10 minutes. They couldn't participate in an activity for 10 minutes. Well, now we can break that down. Now we can look at the vestibular proprioceptive input. Now we can look at the tactile. Now we can see if that pencil grasp is actually working. We can see if they're in the optimal environment, can they perform, right? We are optimizing the environment to see if there's still a concern and what the concern might be. Um, Before we move on, let me make sure I talked about client factors here, right? This is also, if we haven't already, we can learn a little bit more about the student, what's important to them, what they feel like is hard, what they feel like is easy at school. And keep in mind, working with the kid outside of the classroom, them working with you is not their typical environment. So whatever we see within that structured, that optimal environment, we have to take with a grain of salt. Because just because they can do it with us doesn't mean that they can do it in the classroom.
Right.
And that's why I like to start with the classroom observations.
And I like to explain it that way in the
IEP
meeting.
meeting.
Yeah, because I'll say, he did a great job with me, but just let's keep in mind this is just a snapshot. I spent an hour with this child. This doesn't sum up what this child can do, accurately in terms of their whole entire week, their whole entire level of functioning. It is a
Mhm.
snapshot, a slice of time. And there was no noisy things going on in the background. There wasn't kids in and out. There wasn't all these other things going on. Maya Bell is saying, do you do any screenings prior to your evaluation or do you go straight to the eval? I don't know. Do you want to answer that, Jay?
I will answer that in about 10 minutes. I
Okay,
will say
so
that.
I'll answer it real quick and just say I don't do screenings in my district. I am a part of what we call IST, which is basically the teachers get together to talk about a bunch of students that they have concerns for. And if there are OT concerns, that I'm invited, and then I can give feedback and strategies that the teacher can implement before it gets to the evaluation. So it doesn't necessarily mean that I'll see the student, but it doesn't mean that I won't. I've been actually encouraging teachers lately to Zoom me into their classroom for a quick minute. Let me look at the child so that I don't have to actually drive over to building 10 to look at someone for 10 minutes. Like I just don't have the time to do all of that. So I have teachers send me video clips of what's happening,
Mhm.
so that I can just give some strategies, some pre-referral strategies.
So I will share why I've decided not to do that. It's all in the interpretation of everything that's going on. And, like I said earlier, the disclaimer is that everything is different. Even, one district to the next district that are right next door, things can be different. But I have a story slash history lesson slash whatever that I want to share at the end. Yeah, it's kind of why I base my decisions to not do screenings. So I will talk about that in just a bit. But first, we have three more parts of the evaluation puzzle. And the next one is assessment tools. Some of you have already started talking about it in the chat. And so I will just briefly go over the different types of assessment tools, why we're using the assessment tools, and why now? Why not until after the observations? We'll start there. The reason we don't start until after the observations is because we don't know what assessment tools we need to use until we do our observation, or at least until we know that occupational profile, what the concern is. Now, I won't do any hands on, if you want to call them that, type of evaluations where I'm working with a student until this time. I might kind of combine this with my structured observation, right? I might pull them out and kind of do both the structured and assessments at the same time, but I don't want to do them until after at least I've got the profile and the embedded observations. The only caveat to that is like the ones that are to be filled out by the parent or the teacher, I will send those out ahead of time. If I know, like the sensory processing measure, if I know that there might be any concern with sensory, I'm going to send that out ahead of time because it's going to take time for the teacher to do that. But anything like the BOT, the M-Fun, the P-Body, if you're working with younger kids, anything like that, I'm not going to do it till step 3. Here on the screen, you just quickly see norm reference versus criterion reference type of assessment tools. Standardized. Standardized basically just means that there's a set of directions that we have to follow, right? The bot is standardized because it tells us exactly what to say right before we give the next task. Criterion, or sorry, within structured, we have the two, right? Norm reference and criterion reference. Norm reference means that they have done so many bots on so many kids that they know exactly what percentile a 7-year-old 6 month should score. Versus criterion reference is kind of more like the new CDC guidelines where they say about 75% of students should do something at this point. I'm just using that because it's a hot topic right now. Everyone kind of knows how they're doing the 75th percentile within the CDC milestones, but that's a criterion reference type of a tool. Now, there are also non-standardized assessments. Non-standardized assessments are more of those tools that you might find on Teachers Pay Teachers or that's where we get everything, right? Teachers Pay Teachers, or even on Miss Jamie's website. There are non-standardized assessment tools that you can actually do with a student, and then you can take that same non-standardized assessment 3, 6, 12 months later, and you can compare whether or not there's been improvement. Now, you're not going to get data like hard data on numbers, percentiles, but you can still use it and get information about growth within the student. There are some pros, there are some cons. The pros is that a non-standardized assessment tool is typically shorter and easier to administer. The cons is that we don't get that hard data unless you are going to somehow figure out a way to assess it using a very strict protocol. Like if you're cutting, does the student go 1/2 inch outside the lines or whatever? You have to kind of create that protocol for yourself. Now I want to answer the age-old question that I get so often on Instagram, so often everywhere is a standardized assessment tool required by IDEA, AOTA, any entity, any organization, any law? Are they required? Well, the answer is muddy. They don't say, yes, you must use standardized assessments. However, in IDEA, they do say what you see right here on the screen, and that is that we must use technically sound instruments that may assess the relative contribution of cognitive and behavioral factors in addition to physical or developmental factors. So the key word to focus on there, key phrase, is technically sound instruments. I personally believe that we should at least try a standardized or even a non-standardized assessment tool. And then if we can't do that, explain in our report why we were unable to do that. And I know that's the case sometimes, right? We do work sometimes with students who have significant cognitive disabilities and they are unable to potentially even do the Peabody with us. And that's okay. But we need to say, hey, we tried the Peabody, we couldn't do it for this reason, so we moved on. And this report is primarily a is a picture of the student's performance through our occupational profile, observations, and anything else that we did. All right. One more, checking for understanding. Name one advantage to completing embedded observations before structured observations. I named a few that I personally believe are an advantage. So go ahead and in the chat, explain one of the reasons. It could be either one of the reasons I said or one of the reasons that you might even think why it might be an advantage to do embedded observations in the classroom before doing your structured observations. Chelsea says the student won't know who you are. Student doesn't know. Yep. Unbiased, see the real performance. I like that answer.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
So while we're waiting for some more people to answer, oh, I just lost my train of thought. Someone said something. Somebody said something really. Oh, someone said, I would love to know what kind of strategies you recommend. What does that look like? So for me, some very common pre-referral strategy. A lot of times it comes down to very often, I hate to say it, but very often is handwriting. So I will do simple strategies like have the child place stickers in between their words, or have you tried a spacing stick. I'm going to send you some raised line paper. Let's try that. Or sometimes for certain children, I'll say, let's try using graph paper. Like those things that are go-to strategies for us. A lot of teachers don't know them. And
Yep.
I think sometimes as we are so involved in OT, we're in our little bubble and these strategies are, of course, everybody knows that. But I remembered a couple of years ago, I did a presentation about visual perception and I brought up the graph paper thing. I also brought up loose leaf and let's turn the loose leaf on the side to help the child line up the math numbers. And people were like, oh, you're a genius. And I was like, no, that's like not a big deal. We all do that. And,
Yep.
it's important too sometimes that we share all the strategies with the teachers because we don't know what they know and we don't
Yep.
know what they don't know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, I've seen a lot of good answers. Teacher buy-in is a problem. Yeah, that's not an answer. That's just a straight up problem. I completely agree, Lori. That's where RTI really comes into play, I think. Again, another webinar for another day. See the child in the environment where they need to work. Absolutely. A lot of good answers. All right. So I'm excited because I really like that you guys are thinking about the pre-referral system and how to use that in order to make our evaluations easier. And yeah, that is great, and that's definitely something I love to touch upon. So we'll have to talk more about that. So Jamie,
Kelly
what should we?
Fitzpatrick is saying videos are a great idea. Did you get parent permission? Well, no, I didn't because everything, like, the kids are, so many of them are learning remotely and, doing the teletherapy. Everything is so technologically um, involved now in my district anyway that we didn't, we just we're just moving on forward with it. Like we're just using technology every chance we get. And being that it's not a special education or an actual assessment or an actual testing, we haven't gotten parent permission. Now you're making me double think that, but it was just like, I have because for me, I'm the only OT for 10 buildings. I'm the only district OT. There are other OTs that are contracted, but I'm like everybody's go-to person. So if they need a pencil grip or a seat cushion or this or that, they have to contact Jamie Spencer. And obviously I can't get to all those places and all those pieces. So I'm like, just send me a video. I don't know what I need to see it. And then I'll
If
tell you.
I'll speak to
And
that really quickly, actually, because it's okay to use video so long as most districts at the beginning of the year they send home a packet and it's
yes.
more of an opt out versus an opt in.
Mhm.
And they basically say, hey, this is what we are doing. Do you agree? And typically within that is the use of video. Now, you do have to be careful because it should be more specific than just, hey, our teachers can take video. Usually it says something more like, take video for educational purposes. That's
Right.
why we shouldn't be posting pictures and videos of our students online.
Right.
But if they've signed that and the teacher, a good teacher should know which of her students have that signed and which don't, or at least they have it on file somewhere and they could check it really quickly. But if
Mhm.
that's on file, then it's probably not a concern that they are sending you a video.
I actually had a couple of kindergarten students on my caseload this year that parents said no, no photos,
Hmm.
no videos. And I actually reached out to them and I was like, I have some ideas of things I'd like you to be doing with him at home, but I want to show you what I mean. But you said no videos. And they were like, so then they just changed it. And I actually just yesterday, I have a little boy who's got a lot of vision issues and he was just diagnosed with, oculomotor dysfunction and his eyes aren't teaming. And I told the mom, like, there's things that you could do to help. I
Hmm.
took a video and I uploaded it to YouTube as a private, unlisted video and just shared the link with mom. And that was it. So it was such, this way it's not like, can you come in and take a day off of work? And
Yeah.
it was literally just a quick video of an activity that she can do that can explain what I'm talking about. And it worked great.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally agree. That's a very just you just got to make sure that we have that understanding with the parents that we can do that. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. Wait, did we announce someone or
we
I
did
can't
not.
remember.
Are you guys ready? Okay, hot peas butterful. Hot peas and butterful.
I saw that name. I love it. I have no idea what it means, but I love it.
Hot peas and butterful. You've got a $25 gift card.
Oh man, that's awesome. All right, so we're gonna keep on going. I don't want to. We're at 54 minutes or so since we started.
Oh
I
my
want to get
goodness.
through all this, and I want to get this to you in a reasonable amount of time. So, synthesis and summary. Did I accidentally skip ahead? Nope. Okay. Synthesis and summary. This is step number 4. I've kind of combined them together, but this is the piece that I see missing from so many evaluations. And to be honest, this is the piece that makes your evaluation an evaluation. Anyone can read through the bot and administer the bot to a student. All you need is a booklet and a red pencil and a few other tools, and anyone can administer the bot. but you have the ability to then tie the bot scores back to your observations, back to your occupational profile. That's what makes an occupational therapy practitioner the actual person to be right for this job. So this is your time to shine. This is your time to show your skilled component as an occupational therapist. All right. So in our synthesis, we want to include, why was this student initially referred? What did your profile and observations reveal about the initial concerns and participation in the classroom? Tie it back to the occupational profile. How do performance and client factors impact participation? Did your testing, did that support or add knowledge to the findings or even to kind of your hypothesis from the observations? Were there any outlier scores? And on this next slide, I love to point out the last point you see here on this slide, bring it home, is that this is your place to argue for or even against occupational therapy services for a student. Everyone wants to know, how do we exit a student from occupational therapy services? This is how you do it. This is your synthesis. This is your moment to say, hey, you know what? I know that your student scored low on the bot. However, let's look back at the observations. We saw that that student was sitting and attending to instruction for 15 minutes. They were writing functionally within the classroom. They were using scissors in the classroom. They were able to fold paper and follow along with the craft activity when I was in the classroom. And I know that because I went into the classroom, I observed it, I talked to the teacher. So this is your time to tie everything together, whether or not that leads to services or if that leads to not recommending services. Include your statement of why OT is or is not the correct service to for the initial concerns. All right, this is your time to shine. All right, that's kind of my soapbox slide.
I like it. I like it.
Right. So then that brings us to our recommendations. What are we going to actually recommend at the end? We are going to state whether or not OT is recommended. We don't qualify students for OT, we recommend OT. And then the IEP team or whatever the team meeting is called in the state that you live is going to either A, agree with you, disagree with you, or have a discussion with you and say, you know what, I agree with parts of this, I don't agree with other parts of this. What are we missing? And that's perfectly okay. In addition, you may want to add any accommodations or tools. You may want to recommend a training or a consultation with the teacher or other team members. You may want to include your services. You may want to even include your goals. Personally, if I have an idea that, okay, I'll say it here. If I know that I'm going to recommend services, then I will make a recommendation for services within that, within my report. However, that's not always the case. Some districts don't like that. It's okay, but you should at least state whether or not you recommend services or not recommend services. Some people go as far as recommending their goals within the reports. Now, if you're going to say, no, I don't recommend services, it's perfectly okay to say, no, I don't recommend services, but here's a list of accommodations that I do recommend for the student, and go from there. All right.
So this is pushing buttons, Jason. People are getting upset.
This is where it always pushes buttons, and I love to have these discussions. It's important. I really, sorry, I haven't had a chance to look at, they move so quick, the comments do. So it's hard to see what I'm seeing. My district wants us to state that recommendations will be discussed at the student's upcoming meeting. Oh, so you send the report home? Is that what you mean? This Facebook user, sorry, I can't say your name. So you're sending something home, maybe you're sending your report home, and then you're going to discuss it at the next meeting. Yeah, what I'm talking about is primarily, this is what we report at the meeting, and you would say this in your report. We have so many comments. It's hard to keep track of all of them. What is the CERT? The CERT is a tool that Florida therapists, and it was developed in Florida, and it kind of helps you to develop your services potentially. It's a framework for developing the amount and type of services for a student. You can look up online, just type in Florida Occupational Therapy CERT on Google, and you'll probably come across it. I hope to have a podcast actually about that soon. So
a lot of people are saying their district doesn't want them to write it in the eval.
Which part? The
The
exact service?
recommendations. They want the in the summary, they want us to do our summary, and this is how, and my district is the same. This is how the child scores, this is how the child is functioning, and that's it. And very often there's a statement, this is the child services is a team decision, which under
Yep.
IDEA it is a
Yep.
team decision. So that's why the districts don't want us to make the recommendations, but it is under IDEA that we are allowed to make our recommendations. So it is kind of a hot spot. You don't want to get in trouble at work, but at the same time, according to
Yeah.
IDEA,
Yep.
the thing is, guys, if you know your stuff, then you're advocating for yourself in that way. Like I actually recently just had a situation like this where um, one of my supervisors said she kind of, it was a miscommunication, but she kind of gave me the impression that she was like, no, you can't recommend that. And I really like, I really got crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't react because I can get really angry really fast, but I was just like, oh no, you don't. And what I did was I rewrote I actually wrote a whole page, and I wrote, due to clinical observations and, based on my clinical skills and I recommend because A, B, C, and D. And I submitted it very professionally. And she actually called me and she was like, I think this is a miscommunication. I didn't say that you can't recommend. And it's like, well, I hope not, because I didn't say that, you guys, but I thought it. Um, and we are under IDEA allowed to recommend what we want to recommend, and that doesn't mean that the team at the CSE is going to give it, because who knows what other pieces of the puzzle will be introduced at the meeting. But according to IDEA, we should be saying our recommendations. So that is
Yeah.
an interesting piece because a lot of people aren't allowed.
And you know what? I've given this same webinar, and I should have already added that in because every time I give this webinar, I say exactly what you just said.
Hmm.
And while you're speaking, I was trying to look up exactly where it is in IDEA. But
Hmm.
IDEA does actually say that we are supposed to give our recommendation at the end of a report, the same way that a psychologist does, the same way that a speech language pathologist does, the same that everyone else does. We are no different. Okay, we're a little bit different, but as far as the reports go, there's nothing in IDEA that says a psychoeducational report is different from, or at least the process should be different from an OT report. It
Right.
says that both of us should be presenting our recommendation. So, absolutely. At the very least, we should have some sort of statement that says the recommendation to the IEP team is that the student receive or not receive occupational therapy services or whatever you are recommending or not recommending.
Right.
Yeah.
So this Facebook user is saying that she doesn't state recommendations on the evaluation itself. We add a cover letter. That is exactly what I
Interesting.
do. So
Interesting.
my district wants to know my recommendations. They just don't want the parent to see them prior to the meeting.
Yeah. And if anyone's looking for a cut and paste answer, check out Natalie's comment on YouTube. She says OT is it's her blurb. OT is recommended for student and will be discussed and determined at the IEP, and that's perfectly fine. All right. Remember that cone? Here it is again, but now it's all filled in. This is your time if you'd like to take a picture. However, I'm going to give you even a more useful term or a more useful handout right now that you can use that basically is going to help you do all this, but actually in something you can print out and use. And you already have this. It is another. It's another one of the handouts, the 3-in-1 handouts that Jamie sent out. Miss Jamie sent out in the email, and I'm sure she will potentially even send it out again to make sure everyone has it. But
Yep.
this is the occupational therapy evaluation checklist. This is what I use to keep myself sane when I am doing evaluations. And as you can see, we have kind of the student background up at the top. Then we have the next area, which is the reason for referral and some important dates, such as when the IEP, when I received testing permission, so the assessment plan or referral, the due date, which in most states is 60 days later, and the IEP date. So you have those important dates. Then it's going to go step by step down for your tasks that are required to, well, I shouldn't say are required, but will help you to develop a top-down assessment tool. So starting with reviewing the IEP. If they have a previous IEP, you can start there with your documentation, looking up previous documentation, potentially reviewing the psych report, reviewing the previous OT report if it exists, doing your questionnaires with the parent, the teacher, maybe even a functional questionnaire with the student if you want to use something like that, or any other type of questionnaire that you might send out that isn't necessarily a teacher parent questionnaire. Then your classroom observations, your clinical or other structured observations, and then all your standardized assessment tools or whatever tools you use, followed by writing your report and presenting your report. You have access to this. This is within the handouts that Miss Jamie sent. This is another tool that I developed that I'm giving out to you. Feel free to use it, print it. If you're going to give it to your friend, circle that OT Schoolhouse at the bottom. Tell them about the OT Schoolhouse podcast. Tell them about Miss Jamie, how awesome we both are, and send them our way. We'd love to have them. But yes, it should be. You have this, and if not, send me an email. I will figure out a way to get it to you. Carrier pigeon's my favorite. All right, here's an example of what it actually looks like when it's filled out. Just my chicken scratch handwriting, and then that is your top-down evaluation. So, quiz time. This is a big one. Who can name the 5 steps to a top-down evaluation? If you can get them all, I don't know. This isn't the big prize. This is another $25 Amazon gift card prize, I believe. But I would love to see you name as many of those tools. I gave you a few hints with some initials here, but name the tools the steps to the evaluation report. I see one person. Do we have permission to use this PowerPoint as an OT in service? Maya, I would prefer not. This will be available for about a week, a little less than a week. You can send them to Miss Jamie's page, and she might be able to figure out how to get them the replay. But I would prefer not to use these exact slides as an in-service for you. But share them, yes, that's fine.
The replay will be emailed to everybody who signed up on the sign-up sheet. If you signed up on my website and received the link to join this, then I will be emailing you as a follow-up to say, here's the replay and here are the handouts again. So
Awesome.
if you didn't sign up, if you didn't put your email in and you just happen to hop onto YouTube, just go to my, I'm going to have my VA put the link in the chat right now so that you can just sign up and then you'll get the follow-up emails.
Awesome. So here are all the answers. Most of you are getting it right. I love that. It means that you're ready to implement it tomorrow, which I love. So let's go ahead and continue. Sorry, do you want to do a quick announcement for a winner?
Yeah.
Or are we still waiting on several coming in?
Prizes. Lori Augenstein. $25 gift card.
Awesome.
Okay, hot peas and butter. Can you make a comment again? Because my VA is looking for you. So for those of you who are on, I see some people are getting off. Don't get off because we're doing the big announcement at the end, who wins, and you've got to be there to win. So don't leave. Continue that multitasking.
Yes, and we have a bonus. What is not an evaluation? This brings us back to our question about 10, 15 minutes ago about not about referrals, but pre-referral strategies and screenings. And so this is what I am going to show you. We have a very special, we have a court case that I'm going to talk to you about. I'm going to kind of skip over the slide. We're running out of time a little bit. So I want to share with you what is not a screening, what is not an assessment. And this is actually a court case. This is a legal document that outlines a situation that played out in actually Philadelphia. Some of you might be in Philadelphia. And I'm not going to read it, but I will highlight the underlying things that we have here. That the occupational therapist performed only a cursory OT screen and failed entirely to assess Terrence's need. Based on this inadequate evaluation, she concluded inadequately that Terrence was functioning adequately in the educational curriculum. Therefore, the district provided no OT services to Terrence in spite of his critical need for them. Continuing on, when we get to the end of this same document, Had the district performed an adequate OT evaluation, it would have known that Terrence was in need of OT services to address his deficits in handwriting and sensory integration in order to receive FAPE. This is Terrence D versus the School District of Philadelphia in 2008. Basically, what happened here is that an OT did a screening. They did one of those screenings, the backdoor screening, right? The teacher comes to you and says, hey, I have a concern about this kid. So I go in and I look at that kid. I say, I see something. Here you go, teacher, try that. Well, then what? The district, as soon as you go into that classroom, as soon as you know that there's a concern for that student, the district is obligated to do an evaluation for that student because there was a concern there. By doing that, the occupational therapist did not do a full evaluation, but basically they said they did by doing that. And so this district actually got called out for it in a lawsuit, and they ended up having to do a full OT evaluation at a later time. The student did qualify, and then services were required for that student. This does actually say that compensatory educational services in the report, it says that compensatory educational services were required. So backlog of services, but it didn't
Wow.
say
Oh my
specifically
goodness.
for
That's
OT
crazy.
services. So
That's a big deal.
this is why I say I don't do screenings. I won't, because I don't want to be liable for that district having to go back 3 years or 2 years is usually what it is and provide compensatory strategies. So I use an RTI model instead, which actually I talk about in my A to Z course. I have a few podcast episodes about it, and I use an RTI model where RTI is designed to help teachers help students. And so that's the way that I go about it. So I know there's going to be questions, and I will stay on for questions if we have questions, as long as they're not going super fast through. But I want to ask you a question first, and tell me, what was the most helpful thing that we covered today? What did you learn? What are you going to take away tomorrow? What are you going to take away next week and maybe implement? Whether it be no more screenings, whether it be doing your embedded observations before your structured observations, using one of the handouts I gave you. I want to know, what was the most helpful thing that you learned today? And actually, I'm on the private chat. I need to go to the comments so I can actually see all of them. I learned no more
Jason's
screenings.
podcast is the OT Schoolhouse podcast, and
Yes, OT
it's
Schoolhouse.
awesome.
You can find it anywhere you listen to podcasts. You can even say, sorry, I can't say it, but you can tell Google to play it and it'll play it.
Or Alexa.
Or Alexa too. Alexa will play it as well. Embedded versus structured occupational profile. Perfect. I love it. I have one more question for you, and that is, if you don't mind, would you mind if I share about my course for school-based occupational therapists? It is a little bit about evaluations, and it's a whole lot more about evaluations, and then even more. So if it's okay, do you mind if I share a little bit about the course that I do have at otschoolhouse.com? I'd really appreciate
share.
you. Awesome. So this is perfect. I love it. Thank you so much. So the A to Z school-based OT course, this is the course that I actually provide. I've already actually seen some alumni, their chat come through here. So it's awesome. Thank you so much for being here. But this is the course that I do offer at otschoolhouse.com. This course has helped hundreds of therapists just like you to be more confident in their therapy practices, to understand RTI, to understand the scope of OT in the schools, to understand evaluations, IEP meetings, and how to eventually graduate students from OT services in an ethical manner. And so the A to Z course exists because I know therapists have questions about school-based OT. In fact, many of the questions that I receive every day are in this course. Why? Because they're the questions that I got. And so I built this course based upon what people like you needed help with. So
I love that.
Right? This is just some of the things that you're going to learn. You're going to learn about more about an IEP, 504, and SST, how they're similar, how they're different. SST, I know that terminology changes. Student study team. Oftentimes when a student's in RTI, they have a team. It's kind of like an IEP, but a little less formal. We're going to go over that. We're going to talk about how to implement an RTI program. We're going to learn how to manage all those evaluations that are coming in our doors, even more so than we dove into today. You're going to learn how to write IEP goals, and you're going to learn how to graduate a student when the time is right and in an ethical way. This is a little bit about what the course looks like. It is not a recording of some live session I gave. This is a recording that was made directly for this program. It's straight to you, and it's not like just one long video. It's broken down into tangible segments. All right. That's a little bit about what it looks like.
I like
Here
that it's
is,
broken down into tangible segments because you know how we are where it's so busy and you have a set block of time and you want to get something accomplished so you can watch the section that you're up to without feeling like you're stopping in the middle of something.
yep, exactly. And so each lesson is broken down. It's no more than an hour. Most of them are closer to 30 minutes. And so you kind of get it broken down, and it's all put together. The way that I structured it is very much like, hey, I walk into a school campus. What's the first thing I need to know? What's the second thing I need to know? Third, fourth, fifth, and go down the road. And so it's very well structured for you as a school-based OT. Hillary, one of my most favorite comments that has ever come from someone who has completed this course. She says that the A to Z school-based OT course covered all the bases. I've been in OT for 13 years, and I've learned something new through every module. And I hope you agree that she says Jason is a wonderful presenter. And then another one
That's
from
a bucket
Tara.
filler.
Right?
Yes.
And this one too. Every aspect was fantastic. Every OT working in the schools should take this course. Thank you, Jason, for all of your hard work. Thank you, Tara. If you're here tonight, I really appreciate it so much. So, yes, I saw a question about continuing education. It is worth 9.5 hours of continuing education. Here's everything that you get: 8 organized modules. There's actually 9 because I have a bonus one in there. And then you also get access to my private student center, which is basically a Facebook group, but we're going to be moving that and making it even more immersive in the near future. It's no longer going to be on Facebook because some people don't use Facebook. We are also, you will get 25, actually more than 25 PDFs and editable templates, things that you can actually use to help you right away. You're going to get my evaluation template. You're going to get some RTI templates, and these things can actually be edited by you. It's not just a PDF, it's something that you can write your name. You're also going to get Google Forms and Microsoft Forms that are just ready to go so you can send that parent questionnaire out. What I love most is that I provide live collaboration hours for anyone who has registered for this course. Thursdays and sometimes Saturdays, we meet up on a Zoom call. You can ask me anything, or we can have a discussion about anything in a small group. It's usually around maybe 5 to 10 people that show up, and we just chat. We talk about what's going on in our world and what we need support with, and we provide that help to each other. I'm there every other week. And then it is a AOTA certified course, so you get 9.5 hours of AOTA approved continuing education. I don't know why that just happened again, but there we go. Real quickly, a few templates. I already named them. The OT evaluation template that I use, a treatment intervention plan template, a flowchart guide to help you determine services, entire teacher training slides, so many different templates, and the confidence that you deserve to have as a school-based OT. So if you want to join in on this with me right now, or you have just a few days to get a very special deal, it's usually $3.99, but when you use promo code Miss Jamie OT, you're going to save 10% off. That promo code is only good until Tuesday, March 16th. Am I doing my days right?
Yes, the 16th.
Yeah, March 16th. So right now it's $3.99, but you type in that promo code Miss Jamie OT, you're going to save 10%. Miss Jamie, I think she has a link for you that she can potentially type in. Otherwise, she will be sure to send out the link in the next email that she sends out with the replay and whatnot, I'm sure.
Yes.
So you can save 10%. And you also get a 30-day money back guarantee, because if you don't like it, I don't deserve your money. So if you start this course and you decide, you know what, Jason lied his butt off, this is nothing what I expected, I don't know what the heck he was talking about, let me know. I might ask you, like, you know, how I can support you more, but there's no questions asked as far as giving you your money back. It's all on me. I don't deserve your money if this is not the right course for you. So
Aw,
with
that's awesome, Jason, that you say that. I mean, I agree. I feel the same way for my own stuff, but it's just you're a good guy.
Thank you. Yes, I mean, we should all do that, right? If
Yes.
we're not selling something, I mean, or if we're selling something, we should be selling something that people actually find helpful. I'm
Well,
not
and
here to
you
sell you
you
something that
like
you don't
you
need.
know when you work your butt off on it and you put everybody's input into it and make sure that you're addressing all those hot spots that people are asking you about, you're confident in what you're putting out there and you're like, I'll give you your money back because you know no one's going to ask for it
Yep,
because
exactly,
because
exactly.
you feel that confident that it's that good.
Yeah, and the only time that I've had someone actually request money back, it was because she had paid, and then her district told her that they would pay. So I gave her money back so her district could then pay for the course. But that is it. I've never had anyone say, you know what, no, this course isn't for me. And so I would love to have you. I would love for you to be with me as well as to join those collaboration hours, which our next one is a week from today. Actually, next Thursday, we're going to have live collaboration hours. And if you sign up anytime between now and Tuesday or even Thursday, you will get access to the live collaboration hours. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Although I think before, maybe we want to do the giveaway before questions.
Let's go for it.
All right, we'll go to the next slide.
Okay, I need like a drum roll. I should have put a I should
Wait,
have
you
put
didn't see
like
that?
I should have put like the drum roll thing on there. So go to the next slide for me, Jason.
There it
Oh,
is.
I just want to say we're going to announce the winner, but even if you don't win, if you go to Double Time Docs, you can sign up and get a free trial and you get a free credit so that you can try writing an eval on there. Penny's saying, yes, drum roll, please. I'm not, maybe I could bang my computer, but it probably wouldn't sound nice. Um,
Right.
but if you decide that you like it and you want to try it out and use it for the rest of the school year, so that I don't know about you guys, but I have 15 weeks left of school. Who's counting, right? So
Oh my.
I've been doing a minimum of 1 to 2 evaluations a week, and like last week I did 3, which is a lot. I actually did all 3 evals in one day. Then I got to write them up, do the reports, IEPs, blah 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 blah. That is going to be a big time saver for the rest of this school year. If you decide that you want to sign up, use the code Miss Jamie Webinar, and you'll get an additional 4 free doc credits. So you can do another 4 evals for free, which is awesome. Oh,
Absolutely.
somebody has 10 weeks. Lindsay, jealous, 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 jealous. Okay, so our big winner, the person who gets, I want to just say what the big prize is again. I don't have it written in front of me. 6 months subscription. So it's $100 value because they'll get 6 months subscription plus free doc credits to write more evals for free. And the winner is Patricia Level. Level. Patricia Level. So Heather Renee is asking, so Patricia Level, can you make a comment for us? And my assistant is going to reach out to you and get all your information so that we can set you up with Double Time Docs. Someone's asking, can you explain it? So basically, Double Time Docs is like we were talking about using Google Forms and how awesome it is because you can just input your information. Double Time Docs is like that, but even better because all those questions that you're going to be doing are online. So you can check a box, click, click, click. This is how old they are. This is this is their diagnosis. This is the test I used, which is so to me amazing because I've tried to streamline. So I set up templates for myself, but I'm copying and pasting and going to my doc of where all the tables and templates are and being like, okay, I used the bot for this kid. So let me copy and paste the bot information and stick it over there. And then I got to erase what I wrote for the last kid and put it in. And then the formatting gets wonky. And it's like, oh, you waste so much time. But with Double Time Docs, you don't have to do that. And I don't want to do a whole commercial for Double Time Docs, but it definitely saves you a lot of time. So I really recommend everybody just check it out. You can sign up for free and you'll get a free doc credit to write an eval and see. And it just goes so much faster because the bulk of the writing is done for you, which is just wonderful. Someone says, do we just Google Double Time Docs? It's doubletimedocs.com and the link is right here. So you can just check that out and sign up. I definitely recommend a free trial. And of course, check it out with your district and see if they'll allow you to use it. I had to get permission from my special ed director to change up my template a little bit, but I was like, it's going to make me faster. It's going to make me have less typos.
Right.
And, that's always a plus.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Well, I typically take questions at the end if anyone wants to ask. If people are still here, I can't see how many people are here, but I know there's people here. If you want to ask questions, I have no problem asking or answering. Miss Jamie, I know she's always helpful as well. But yeah, I again, thank you so much for allowing me to be here. Really appreciate it, and yeah, it's been fun. I hope I made evaluations a little fun to talk about.
Jason's saying that as an underhanded comment to me because I was telling him, let's offer prizes. This is a dry topic. It's not very fun. And he's like, I'll try to make it fun. I'm like, you can't really make evals fun. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah, we try. All right, I do see a question. Sorry, I see two questions. I'm gonna try and not let them disappear. I don't know. I'll put a limit. I don't want to take up too much of your time either, Miss Amy. But Lindsay does ask, do you consider a screening and a parent's consent for observation to be the same thing? Yes, yes, because what are you going to do after that observation? If you go back, let's just think about it this way. Role play with me, right? The parent gives you permission to do an observation, and then you tell the parent, I don't think an evaluation is warranted. I did an observation. I don't think an evaluation is warranted. Well, what's going to happen? You got to remember that parents might construe an observation as an evaluation. They don't know what an evaluation entails. So they might go to a lawyer and say, hey, they did an evaluation, which technically they're not incorrect because you did go see that student, that particular student for something. So that's where you can get into a tricky position. Now, again, work with your special ed director. Your director may say, you know what? I understand what Jason's saying, but we're willing to take that risk and we'll go with it. That's okay. I am just sharing my personal opinions based upon what I have learned from IDEA, working as a school based OT, and the positions that I've put myself in and been a part of. So I would discuss it with the higher ups at your district.
And and to know your stuff, you can always look online, look at AOTA, get your information,
Hmm.
and they don't know OT better than we do. They definitely don't, and they don't know the regulations about OT better than us always. So if you have that information, I print it out and I show them. Actually, if you look right here, because I've had administrators before that that would tell me, well, OT is really only for children with visual motor and fine motor issues, and I feel like I couldn't help it because sometimes the things just pop out of my mouth, and I was like, you can't say that. And the administrator was like, "I can't." And I think I, like, shamed her, but, like, "No, you can't say that." I was like, "That's not true. We treat the entire child, and if, I could bring you some information about it." And I probably, like, shamed her and acted like a know-it-all, but I just was like, "If you're the special ed director, you need to know that."
Yep, exactly. Or their lawyers need to know it, one or the other.
Right.
Silly question, but in terms of plagiarizing, is use of double time docs something which can be tricky in terms of substituting a report that is not fully written in your own words? Um, I, I I know Jason, I know Double Time Docs. They actually give you a free evaluation template when you go to their website. I mean, you can just download it. I don't even think you have to give your email in order to get their template. And he basically tells you to use it. So I the plagiarism I don't think
No,
is
not
they
an
are
issue.
giving you permission to use it. Yeah.
It's a template, basically. It's a form, and it just makes it pretty for you. And,
Yep.
I don't know about you guys, but I find myself before double time docs, I write the same sentences over and over and over, but not exactly the same. I need to tweak them for each child, of course.
Hmm.
So what's great about double time docs is after you like hit, done, it gives it to you and you can still edit it. You're not stuck with anything. So if you want to change it around or make it more individual to the child, it's completely editable and personalizable, which is important.
Yeah, absolutely. Kathleen asked, how long do you think an average evaluation is from start to finish? People don't always like my answer, but I say probably um, if you're brand new as a school-based occupational therapist trying to figure it out, about a full workday, 8 hours. I mean, over time, of course, not just one day. And if you once you get pretty good at it, you can probably knock it at least in half, if not even more. But it should take a few hours to do. This isn't something that should happen in a few minutes. Remember, your district, if you're doing Medi-Cal or Medicare, whatever it's called in your state, your district's getting reimbursed for those evaluations. And when Medicare reimburses your district, they don't do it like a treatment session where it's like a 30-minute block of time. No, they actually give the district a few hours worth of reimbursement for an evaluation. They know that it takes time to do an evaluation. So it should take a few hours at least. I would say on average, I'm probably around around 4 hours, maybe. But that's because I've been doing it for several years.
So I spend probably, it's hard to say too because I do it in such snippets.
Hmm.
I have no blocks of time. It's always like, okay, 15 minutes, let me do this, and then I have to go see a child, and then so it's hard to give an exact, but I think altogether it takes me probably 3 hours, probably longer.
Mm. Yeah, and you've been doing it for a while, and that makes sense. But I'm
Forever.
sure when you first started, how long? I mean, it's been a while, but I mean, we've all. I'm assuming that I'm making a number up when I say 8 hours when I first started, but I'm assuming that that's about right.
Well, when I'm talking about it, I'm talking about writing it, and then then you have the meeting, and then you have the follow up
Oh
and the
yeah,
calling of the parent. Like I guess, yeah,
yeah.
three
Oh, and
hours is
when
probably
I should say start to finish for me, would I say 4 hours, and that's probably even potentially on the short end, is from the time I get the referral to the time that I'm done writing the report. It's going to be at least 4 hours on average. I should say not on average. It's going to be at least 4 hours for all of that.
so. If anyone won a prize and they haven't heard from my assistant in the private chat, then oh, see there, hot peas and butterful. So it's not in your email, hot peas. It should be in the comment here. So you should have it. But if not, just email customer service at missjamieot.com. I'm going to put in the link right here and we will get you all set up. My VA let me know that there was two people that she couldn't get in touch with. So customer service
Awesome.
at missjamieot.com. Just let us know and we'll set you up. And our double time docs is we're going to give the information to double time docs and they're going to set you up. So someone's asking how to use the coupon code. So you don't need to use the coupon code unless you decide you want to purchase the subscription. So go there, sign up. You can try it one credit for free, but if you subscribe and you put in the coupon code, you'll get an additional 4 credits on top of the credits that you're getting. So
Awesome.
I'm so glad a lot of people have used the word validate, and I just love that. I definitely want to validate people. Um, Jennifer Ann is saying, do you ever recommend RTI versus IEP services? I have to tell you, my district, I hate it, but we don't have an RTI program.
My most districts have RTI level 1 and 2, and then they don't understand how what level 3 looks like. I have a thesis group working on an RTI project right now because, as much as it's a hot topic, very few districts realize how to do it, or if they do it, they only do it in one area. So maybe they have RTI only for reading, or maybe they have
Yes.
only for math, and they
My
don't have
my
it well
my
rounded
district
out.
has reading and math. So when I say we don't have an RTI program, I mean for OT stuff.
Yeah, and Lindsay says the same thing. We have MTSS and we are not included. Um, versus Jackie, she says I do RTI services for a couple kids.
That's
So you
great.
never know. It's hit or miss. Every district is a little bit different. Even schools within the same district are different. And so hopefully we can work toward getting OTs more involved in RTI because I see it. The reason that here's what I say. RTI is a way to help more kids, more teachers, more parents, more everyone in less time and more efficiently. And there will always be students that need IEP services. But there are some students who get to an IEP because they're on the fence. And those are the students that we can potentially help before they need an IEP. And that's what RTI is for. RTI is tier one, which is broad level education for all. So providing in services. Level two is more, I like to say it's classroom specific. And then level 3, you get to small group and or in some considerations more individual. When you're part of like an SST team for an individual student where you might be consulting with the teacher and the parent for that student, but maybe not providing services. That's how I start to define it. I go way more in depth in my course, but that's kind of where I start with it. All right. Well, it's been an hour and a half about. Ready to wrap up?
Yeah. I'm
All
so
right.
so grateful. Again, I'm so grateful to everyone who joined us. We really do appreciate it. If you didn't sign up to get this, go to my website and sign up, and then you'll get the email, and you'll get the slides, and you'll get all the things, just so that you don't miss it. So the replay will be available until March 16th. So I'm going to email it to you, and then it will be gone as of March 16th.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Lots of Facebook users saying thank you. I appreciate you being here. And I'm sure Miss Jamie does as well. So thanks one more
Absolutely.
time.
Thank you, everybody. Have an awesome night, and keep doing the wonderful job that you're doing to help those kiddos.
Absolutely. Take care, everyone.